This is a really exciting occasion, and I hope you all feel it as much as I do. I know you've come from all over, and that's an extraordinary thing, to put the physical energy, personal energy into making a trip to come to be in a place with people you may not know yet. So thank you for that. And thanks seriously to Rose and David for everything they did, to the folks at Radical Exchange, Matt and Paul and everybody else, but above all to Glenn. He won't often stand up and really say he's building things here, but he truly is. And I know a lot of us in this room are FOGs, and that's why we're here. And he's right, our own connection has been as impactful for me as for Glenn. So just to share to start, we know each other because of radical disagreement. I read something Glenn wrote, and it made me so angry that I invited him to the Institute for Advanced Study for a workshop because I was bound and determined to change his mind. This was an argument that we were having about global inequality and economic policy and immigration and the like. And that moment where I read something he wrote was so angry that I was like, I've got to talk to this guy, has also been life-changing for me and changed my own intellectual journey. I've been thinking a lot in the last few weeks about Thomas Kuhn's structure of scientific revolutions. And I believe this meeting right here is one of those paradigm-changing moments. It's not like it comes out of the blue. It's not like it comes just from the fact that Danielle and Glenn happened to have a lunchtime seminar at the Institute for Advanced Study, a decade ago or something like that. It comes out of all kinds of unfolding lines of thought. For me, a really important keystone is Mark Granovetter's really early work on networks. I know you all know that work. We haven't always said out loud how many fields it's rippled through. So I'm a political philosopher. At the end of the day, when people ask me what I work on, my answer is democracy, past, present, future thereof, no question mark at the end of that. And from my point of view, Granovetter's work has completely transformed how we should be thinking about justice, how we should be thinking about democracy. By virtue of making clear the power in networks, the alternative forms of human organization that are possible if you pay attention to the bridging elements of social capital, economic capital, all kinds of capital. Lots of things got turned on their head. Over the course of the 20th century, in political philosophy, there was a real tendency to push the political being, the political person of ordinary people to the aside, to expect that technocrats would figure out how to engineer an economy that would more or less deliver wealth and growth for everybody, redistribution, would make sure that those who were on the losing end were nonetheless sort of part of a rising tide lifting all boats. That was a deeply, from my point of view, erroneous view about the path to human well-being. We are complete creatures setting the direction for our own lives, in our own private life, but also through co-ownership, co-creation, co-authorship of community and public spaces is, I believe, necessary to human flourishing. A lot of the thought of the 20th century just completely missed that. Mark Granovetter, crazy as it sounds, really opened up a door to restoring that recognition about what human beings need, what it takes to thrive. And as I see it, this meeting right now is a moment for some of those core insights about networks, about plurality, about disagreement and bridging across difference, but in a context of cooperation and toward cooperation and new opportunities for coordination, solving public goods problems and collective action problems. All of that now kind of comes together here with all the disciplines and areas of expertise represented, and we have a chance to sort of build that out and truly change the set of interlocking metaphors and concepts that people use to drive organizations, to drive policy, to drive basic thinking about human well-being. So that's why I'm so excited about this conference. I want to share one more thing to give you a sense of just how humanly profound I believe this work is. This comes from the 20th century philosopher Hannah Arendt. I'm sure lots of you know Hannah Arendt's work. She's a German Jewish emigre, so she escaped Nazism, having been a student of Heidegger, of all people, and was then in this country teaching at the New School, University of Chicago, places like that. She published a really important book at the end of the 50s called The Human Condition. And in it, she makes the case that human flourishing consists of 3 distinct activities: labor, work, and action. So labor is that which we do to support our biological needs. So fulfilling basic biological necessities, making sure there's sort of subsistence, food and shelter. Also, it's the zone of reproductive activity. Work is the zone of meaning making, where we make things together, we make culture, we act creatively, we form communities around things that we co-create. And action is the space of politics, where across disagreement, the entire purpose of politics is actually to navigate disagreement and turn it into something productive for human beings. So action is what we undertake in the space of politics, where we're trying to navigate all that difference and complexity. Now, the really important thing about Arendt's picture of human well-being as depending on labor, work, and action is that, in her view, every human being participated in all 3 of these activities. This was a radical break from the history of philosophy. If you pay close attention to the history of philosophy, going way back to the beginning, what you'll see is that the basic conception of human beings was that those 3 things should be understood from a division of labor point of view. You go back to Plato and Aristotle, enslaved people got to do the labor, all right? Work was for so-called craftsmen, and action was for statesmen in their vocabulary. And that picture has maintained its way all the way through until the 20th century. But as Arendt really said, no, it's every single human being should be doing all of these things. That's what a human life is about. And there are lots of mistakes that those early philosophers made in terms of what they understood about human beings when they thought that it was possible to allocate these tasks in these ways against 3 different categories. Now, the way this connects to what we're doing is technology has, for so long, and understandably so, been thought of as about finding labor-saving solutions, right? About replacing that part of human experience that is the drudgery part. The part, it's just a tax on our resources, our energies. You know, the laundry machine is the classic example. Somebody's mother finally gets a washing machine and now, lo and behold, can participate in the life of culture, can participate in the life of politics. It's not tied at home in that way. But that conception of technology as labor-saving has really seeped through all kinds of ongoing work. It really is underneath a lot of the way we frame thinking about artificial intelligence. Replacement of human beings, replacement of the things that we're not so good at. And the problem is that misses this whole other picture of humanity. That we need to do all 3 things. Even the labor part has some value for us. So yes, there's lots of ways in which labor saving and labor replacement of things that are the less important part of our capacity, that's all valuable. But even there's some value to labor, and certainly we all need that subsistence. And so figuring that part out is non-negotiable. But it's really the support for human creativity, world making together in the cultural space, human political interaction. We need technology that can support achieving subsistence for all in just ways, that can support that creative engagement in world making, that can support that political work, working across difference and disagreement in order to achieve things that are productive for humanity. It's a completely different model for thinking about what technology should be and do. And so I'm so excited to see the kinds of collaborations that will emerge from all of your conversations over the next 2 days. As I said, I think this is the beginning of something profound. Thank you so much.